Hello, it's Pastor Patricia Hughes. I'm recording my practice of the sermon that I'm going to give on Sunday, August 23rd in our courtyard parking lot worship, and it's on Exodus. This summer, our worship services and sermons have focused on the Old Testament as it parallels our own lives today. Both are about a search for significance. I've enjoyed these accounts of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph as they struggle for their family and their nation to survive. Although they endure hardship, childless years, family rivalry, infighting, and slavery. Their continued clinging to a God who loves them, cares for them, and prepares better choices for them sounds really important to me at this moment in time. We live in uncertain times. 7 months ago, I certainly never dreamed to be talking to you about nearly 200,000 Americans dead from a disease we had not heard of yet. Our story in this time is about a struggle to survive, about a search for meaning, about a definitive course correction in the life of the church, in the life of each of us here gathered. And so now we turn to the account of Moses, the deliverer, found in Exodus chapters 1 and a little bit of 2, because the people need a deliverer. They have lived in Egypt, depending on when you start counting, at least 230 years, saved from famine by the move to Egypt, a providential move based on the brothers' underhanded behavior, but reclaimed by God's love in action. And the narrative changes tone. Now the family of Israel is not just in trouble from each other or their choices. Now the family is openly distrusted and marked for removal by the powers that be. Now a new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. Of course he didn't know him because of the passage of time, but he didn't know him. He had no awareness of the great good that the Jews, immigrants to Egypt in a time of famine, had done in the intervening years. Exodus 1 verse 7 says they were mighty or strong or exceedingly numerous, depending upon your translation from the Hebrew. But of course it is their strength that is the problem, especially if their strength comes from their numbers. They are a threat to a Pharaoh who does not know Joseph. All he sees is enough men for an army. And so this powerful leader begins to sow discontent among the Egyptians about the immigrant Hebrew people because he is frightened by them. And everything that happens from this point forward can be said to flow from the fear of this weak ruler and the discontent he sows. On the other side of the ledger, some of you might remember I was an accountant in an earlier life, we see the Hebrew people, and their strength is spoken to us in the lives of these women that are mentioned in the reading. First, the midwives who don't do what the Pharaoh tells them to do, which is to put babies to death at birth. Frustrated, the Pharaoh instead orders the direct killing of baby boys. But the next women to take brave action are Moses' mother, Yochebed, who places her child in a basket, and this is so cool. The Hebrew word is actually ark, the exact same word that is used in the Noah story, and sets him adrift. When he is found by the Pharaoh's daughter, it is his sister, Miriam, who is conveniently there, asking if Pharaoh's daughter will need a nurse someone to breastfeed the baby, of course, and the mother is the perfect one. And so the stage is set for the Hebrew people to take center stage again in the great story as their deliverer, Moses, enters the account. As we search for significance in days when we can go for days without encountering another human being due to the isolation that has become necessary to slow the pandemic, can we find strength? Can we find inspiration for dealing with change, loss, and uncertainty from the story of Moses, the deliverer? My prayer is for each of you to be as brave as the Hebrew midwives who managed to disobey the direct order of Pharaoh by simply sidestepping the issue. Hebrew women are so strong, the baby is born before the midwives even get there. My prayer is for each of you to sacrifice your own needs for your children and loved ones, like Yochebed, who risked everything by settling Moses in his little ark. My prayer is for each of you to be as resourceful as Miriam, watching over her little brother and speaking up for her mother when needed. And of course, my prayer is for each of you to be like Pharaoh's daughter, not even a Hebrew, but willing to step up to care for someone in need when the opportunity arises. And not just someone, a helpless someone who her own father has marked for death. She says, he must be from the Hebrews. She knows who he is. In these days of loss and isolation, I commend to each of you to be like the Hebrews, mighty and strong, as you face new decisions, new choices, and new opportunities. God is with you, just as God was with each of these I mentioned today. God will give you strength, peace, bravery, and more when you need it. Your significance is based on God's love, and through that love, to care for, cherish, and do what you can for the least of these. Amen.